Superman 2025 is in theaters right now, guys. It just came out from James Gunn launching the new DCU, and I had fun watching this film. Superman must reconcile his alien Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as reporter Clark Kent. As the embodiment of truth, justice, and the human way, he soon finds himself in a world that views these as old-fashioned. And indeed, this movie does bring Superman forward in time to our times where there's social media. There's a lot of conflict going on around in the world, and he's got like this moral decision of, do I help these people, or is it going to be all seen as like this big superhero meddling in human affairs? And that's what the backbone crux of what James Gunn was trying to do here in this movie. But I find that kind of gets pushed to the background. And if you think about it in hindsight, all that kind of like, should Superman help out a country that's going to be invaded or not kind of stuff, the morality questions get pushed to the background when you start to deal with, well, what's this movie about here, right? What's this movie really about? We know that Lex Luthor hates Superman, but we know that from the comics. We know that from other movies, right? The lore. But if you were to watch this movie all on its own and you had no idea who Lex Luthor was, could you understand why Lex Luthor hates Superman just from watching this particular movie? I don't know. Maybe. But then you get distracted by flying dogs with capes. And you see Green Lantern played by Nathan Fillion, and you're like, okay, I'm on board with this because I like the way that this feels. This feels light. This feels energetic, right? There's bright colors. Mr. Terrific is also a big standout in this film. Yeah, in fact, I found that Mr. Terrific and Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern were the standouts in this film. And it's kind of a bummer because I wanted Superman and Rachel Brosnahan to stand out. Rachel Brosnahan is Lois Lane, and I was like, I really wanted to see more of her, but we end up almost seeing Lex's sidekick character. What's her name? Is it Laura? You know, the ditzy one. No, is it Sarah Sampio? Yeah, no, it's Tessmacher. We see her jumping around, being ditzy, taking selfies as big things are crashing around in the background and stuff like that. We see stuff like that. We see her more than I think we do Lois Lane for some reason. Like there are some scenes with Lois Lane, don't get me wrong with that. But Nathan Fillion, he kind of like, when you see him act as Green Lantern, you're like, I want to see more of that guy for some reason. And despite the ridiculous haircut, and I had no idea who Mr. Terrific was before going into this film, and he was more enticing. Hawkgirl, she's just kind of there in the background. But these are the two that you wanted to have the standouts, right? And they were trying to make them kind of like have beefs that she's a reporter and she's pressing him, well, why are you sticking your nose in human affairs? And are you being political? And that's going to be where it's going to rub some people the wrong way, where it's like, it's very obvious that they're trying to make analogies to what's going on in real life here right now, about other countries invading and the morality of all that stuff. Like where does the good lie in all of that? So it's not really hitting you over the head, but it's a part of the story that kind of, for me, didn't sit. It didn't seem to fit in with the rest of the mix of Lex Luthor trying to get rid of Superman because he's a strong, powerful threat, right? It does have some loose ends in here. It does. There's no mistake about that. The Superman lore is tinkered with a bit. And while it does give some answers to it, it doesn't give a definitive enough answer, because I like the Jor-El character. And either it was Russell Crowe or Marlon Brando. those two actors are legendary, and they have a certain gravitas, a royalty to them, right? When you think about Jarrell, you think about a royalty. And I got nothing against Bradley Cooper, but he's not royal. I'm sorry. Yes, you might like him, James Gunn, but I don't think of him as a Jarrell. It totally took me out of the picture. Anyway, it's little things like that that may get some people, but those things are minor. But there are some story things in here that I think people will have issues with when you sit back and look at it. You'll get blinded at first by all the flashy lights and stuff, like, well, dare I say, The Force Awakens, or Star Trek Into Darkness. When I came out, I was like, yeah, man, this is the best thing ever. But when you stop and think about some of the story beats, some of the loose threads, like messages from other planets, does that ever get closed off properly? Are you going to be satisfied with the answers? And if you don't want or don't care about that stuff, you don't care about a cohesive story, and you just want to see Superman fly around and beat up big things, then this movie is going to be for you. And it looks like this movie is going to be for a lot of people. 82% by critics, 95% by the audience, right? So let's go over to my score sheet and start filling in some numbers for Superman 2025. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points each. Cinematography and score are out of 1 point each. Acting. Is there anything in here that's groundbreaking? Anything in here that makes me go, you got to check out this performance? No, I'm sorry, there isn't. Other than Nathan Fillion, but Nathan Fillion's almost he's just it's hard to say. No, I think there are a few. There's a weird side story with Jimmy for some reason. With coming down to the story, it's got, well, when the story takes one step forward, that's like, okay, this is really cool stuff. It takes another step back with this other story with Jimmy Olsen and this mole inside of Lex Luthor's network, and it's just like, okay, guys, okay. Directing. Well, the technical aspects are good. The story-wise, it's got story issues. No doubt about that. It's got that James Gunn flair, James Gunn humor to it. But I do think at the end of the day, I have to say that this is probably one of the weakest James Gunn scripts because of those loose ends. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you watch this movie. It'll be like, wait a minute, what happened to that part back there, guys? There's going to be a couple of those in this movie. And people will try to say to me now, James, you just weren't paying attention enough. Well, I shouldn't have to watch it 2 or 3 times to get closure on certain points that were pretty prominent and a tee-up or what was supposed to be paid off later on. And it's just kind of like, well, here's the answer that sort of works, but it's not the definitive one that you should get in a cohesive, complete story. Cinematography and score are out of a possible 1 point each. Guys, they do pull a lot of really interesting shots in this. It is CG heavy. It is. But the visuals are stunning. And see it on the big screen. I got to give it a full point for that. And the score, it does pull from John Williams' themes at times. Not a lot, though. Not a lot. They do have some new Lois Clark themes. It's not always dun 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 dun. It's not all like that kind of stuff. So we're sitting at 5 out of 10. But can I possibly give anything in here for more? You would think that if I liked it so much, I would. It's hard to say where I'm going to give. I'm going to come back to it after we go take a look at the tomato meter here, because I feel like if we go look at the tomato meter and see what people are saying about this, maybe I can wrangle in some more points here, because audience says James Gunn brings back a timeless hero with Superman and gifts us four-legged scene stealer that we can all rally behind. So dog lovers will like Krypto. Krypto's in the movie. he doesn't really help the movie, though. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes down to the story. He doesn't really advance the movie. You could take Krypto out and the movie's still pretty much the same. Critics. Mr. Gunn is determined to shake things up a lot and does. Different, however, is not always good, Wall Street Journal says. Okay. When it needs to dazzle with effects, Superman does, and James Gunn and his team give a happy spin to a superhero movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. No, it doesn't take itself seriously. And there were times in here where they were throwing in jokes and silliness, which worked for a lot of people, but it also made me think of, okay, maybe I did like a few more aspects of B versus S more than I thought I did. I came out of B versus S saying, okay, guys, this is just too dark and too morose, right? But then there was a part of me that was wishing for a little bit more of that serious tone with this one. But as I said, look at the scores, guys. My critique of this, my little look on this is not going to be popular, but I'm just saying, is this something that I want to jump immediately back into the theater and watch right again? I can wait till streaming. That's the way I feel. Audience reviews. This movie was so much fun. I'm glad to finally see a Superman film I could take my kids to see, and my wife, who had no interest in the film, now wants me to take her to see it again. A lot of fun with some awesome villains and a good story. The character of Superman is more relatable than ever. Awesome villains. We know Lex Luthor is an awesome villain. We know that. But again, I have got to go back to the writing. If you've never seen a Superman movie or comic book, based on this movie, what is Lex Luthor's motivation? Why does he hate Superman so much? They're relying on us to know who he is from just the common understanding, the universal understanding of who Lex Luthor is. But his motivation is not established in this film. It's not. Maybe in a little blurb in the beginning. But it makes me think about this other channel that I watch, writer Brandon McNulty, who he critiques stories and he writes stuff about story structures. I follow him. And he made a video about 5 worst villain mistakes a writer can make. And one of them is no motivation. His goal is to get rid of Superman, right? But other than that, we don't know exactly why, right? We don't know why hero and villain lack meaningful connection. They try to hammer that in. They try to squeeze that in at the end where he has this big speech to Lex about, no, I want to be good because I choose to be, and that's why we're different. But it's like, we needed a little bit more with Lex to bring that home. And you guys will see this when you watch it for yourselves. That's all I can say. And you're going to either forgive it because there's so many other cool things going on visually that you like, or you're going to be able to be a cinephile and be able to be like, okay, well, yeah, these story beats just don't quite add up. But we're going to forgive it because I overall had a good experience with this movie. And I think that's where most people are going to land. So, with that being said, let's wrap up my score sheet here for Superman. And the watchability factors out of 2 points. Is it worth seeing in the theater? Most definitely. 2 points is when I want to own it on Blu-ray or 4K, right? And would I watch it again? Absolutely. But I'm not going to go to the theater to watch it again. I'll wait till it's on streaming. And I'm mostly going to watch it because of the Mr. Terrific scenes, and I'm going to watch it mostly because of Nathan Fillion. A lot of people, as I said, are going to like the dog. Now I'm sitting at 6.5 out of 10, and I'm feeling like that's not quite the score that I want to give this movie. So where can I possibly give it more? Do I like the Kents? The Kents are only in a small part of this. And again, you have to rely on your understanding of the lore for their scenes to have emotional impact. I just didn't feel that connection with Jonathan Kent or Martha Kent. I didn't feel that connection. So I gotta fault the story for that. And I gotta fault the directing for that. I wanted to feel more about the interactions with Lois and Clark, but I didn't. I'm gonna bump it up, the acting, to 1.5. And that'll give us 7 out of 10. I harp all the time on opening scene sets the tone for the movie. And the opening scene of this is online now, I think. It's the first 5 minutes. And I guess it's... I'm struggling to find where I could give this movie more points, guys. If I'm going to be an honest critic here. And it's going to have to stay at 7 out of 10 for me. I'm sorry. I had fun watching it. I really did. And a 7 out of 10 is not a bad score. But there's a few things in here where you literally will be like, if you stop and think about the story and what it just did, you'd be like, I was like, wait, what? No, why would he do that kind of thing? There was one point in that. So for me, 7 out of 10 for Superman. Regardless, this movie's going to be critic proof anyway. If somebody came out and said it was 4 out of 10 or something like that, it's not. It's not a bad film. It's an enjoyable film. It's not the greatest film of the year. And that's the way I feel about it. All right, guys, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, and we will talk about it. You're watching Mirror Domains.